Video games have been gaining popularity very quickly for a long time. Huge communities are waiting for decades just to play the next game of a franchise, and these communities founded fan groups to represent their ideas about their favorite games. However, have you ever thought about the past of video games? Did they used to be as popular as they are right now, or did they used to be unpopular in the past? In this video, we're going to explain this exact topic. If you're ready to take the train of hostile times today, then let's get started. Our story starts in 1958 with a simple video game, a sports video game to be exact. It is Tennis for Two. You probably do not know anything about this game, as it is not that popular on the internet, especially these days. However, it is the first game ever created. William Higginbottom, the developer of the game, was a psychic, and he was also part of a team that developed the first nuclear bomb. 14 November 1962. That day was a very important day, not only for the video game sector, but for the childhood of a whole generation. It was the day when Space War first entered the market. Stephen Russell, a computer scientist at MIT, developed the game for the DECP DP1 mini computer. Even though it was not a game that was officially sold on the market, it was still one of the briefest examples of early games. Even though these games were the earliest games created, none of those two were official on the market, due to video game markets being non-existent these days. However, it didn't stop video games from eventually spreading all over the world. In 1971, by far the most crucial event in gaming history occurred. Atari, the company that nearly all of you know for its popular video games, was founded. In 1972, they created the first marketed video game ever, Computer Space, which was based on the Space War we mentioned before. However, it was just the beginning for Atari. Various successful games were published by Atari between 1972 and 1984, including games that are still considered extremely successful today, such as Pong in 1972 and Pac-Man in 1982. Even though Atari finally created a market for video games, it was short-lived due to a lack of new hit games and financial problems brought by mass failures, such as E.T. All those events ended up with Atari losing its relevance on the market. As Atari collapsed, the video game sector started to lose its dynamic and popularity among new generations. However, this catastrophic period for video games didn't take so long due to a brand new company that wanted to dominate the market, Nintendo. Nintendo was founded on 23 February 1889, and the story of Nintendo goes way back to the first existence of video games. However, we're going to explain the video game era of Nintendo, which is still ongoing. Sales of Nintendo were from Japan before they opened up to the US. Nintendo wanted to expand its sales to the US. To succeed in this, Nintendo contacted Atari to publish its new product, Famicom, with the name Atari. Nintendo succeeded in the US market due to the massive popularity of games like Donkey Kong and Super Mario Bros. Gained. Then, Nintendo created various other games and sequel games of the popular games in the past. It was an immense success. However, as new competitors were entering the market, the future of Nintendo would prove to be harder than expected. Sega was the first considerable competitor of Nintendo. Their 16-bit game console was already better than Nintendo's 8-bit game console. However, they lacked a popular game series. To meet the requirement of a popular game, Sega created a character to compete with Nintendo's favorite character Mario, Sonic. Instead of Nintendo, which was focusing on little children on the market, Sega aimed to catch the interest of teenagers instead of Nintendo. While all that competition was happening, new technologies were being discovered in the game sector, such as scrolling features for 2D games and the first creation of 3D games. All those discoveries increased the speed of increase of popularity in the gaming sector. Even though Sega failed to kick Nintendo from its throne, there was a new upcoming competitor of Nintendo that finally will be able to accomplish that goal, Sony. The story of this competition goes way back than you are thinking. Let me explain. Sony and Nintendo were working on a project together to build a version of NES with a CD driver titled Nintendo PlayStation. On May 28, 1991, Sony officially announced its project to release the Nintendo PlayStation. However, Nintendo started to get nervous about Sony's intentions to become a key player in the gaming sector, and to enable this, Nintendo announced that they were denouncing their project with Sega, and they started to work with their Dutch rival, Philips, instead. The owner of Sony was angry about Nintendo's betrayal. However, this did not stop them from officially starting Sony Computer Entertainment. Then, they planned to release the Sony PlayStation instead of the Nintendo PlayStation. After a long process, Sony capitalized on new technologies and became the largest gaming company in the sector. Microsoft Xbox was the last one to join the competition. Unlike all those companies, Xbox was a branch of an already massive company called Microsoft. The motivation of Microsoft to create this game branch started in 1995, when Microsoft released DirectX to make it easier to publish games on Windows. Even though that attempt was unsuccessful, Microsoft threw a Roman-timed conference for game developers to convince them about working with Microsoft. This conference was successful, so successful that it opened the way for Microsoft to create this gaming console. Microsoft released Xbox in 2001 to compete with PlayStation 2. Slowly but surely, new competitors were entering the stage. As you see, the main motivation behind the improvements started with the curious computer scientists trying to invent new things and ended up with a massive competition of megacorps. Even though all those catastrophic and great events happened, we kept playing video games until the end. We hope that new technologies will keep coming out in the future. As always, please like our video and consider subscribing. It helps. Thanks for watching, and it was times.